On today's episode, we're breaking down Prospects Live's top 50 college baseball prospects for the 2026 MLB Draft. Let's get to it.
Yeah, ain't no problems, they won't problem with me, no. Yeah. Let me talk to the chat. They know I was gone for a minute, had to BRB. Had to grab a couple wins with I DID. They sleeping on the kid, I had to do it BIG. I can never be average, and they want a problem with the boy, they don't want no static. I don't need your cosign running with God. Wanna test that, tell them what's happening. Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining dog. Counting in my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash, shut the chain, boy, I been a dog. Best believe I run the game, you know I'm in control of y'all. It's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Beat them up, knock them out. They really don't want no static.
All right, folks, welcome in to the debut, the premiere, the very first episode of College Baseball Now, presented by Prospects Live. It is an honor to be here with you, your host, Drew Wheeler of the Prospects Live amateur team, joined for this first episode by a brilliant mind, a gentleman I actually just learned played against some dudes I know very well in high school, in college, and beyond. Your friend of mine, Jake Bargery. Jake, what's up, man? It's been a long day at the park for you.
Yeah, it sure has. I've been out. I've been out on the showcase circuit a little bit this afternoon. It makes for a long day, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about some college ball.
I am too, bro. And like we said before, the intro video launched, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Today, we're talking about a list that recently dropped at prospectslive.com, our top 50 2026 NCAA draft prospects. So what that means is obviously these are guys who are eligible for the 2026 MLB draft who are playing in college baseball this year. And Jake, as you well know, man, because we're in the off season, fall ball, things like that are going on. We've had some summer leagues, wood bat leagues, all kinds of things going on that could kind of push these guys up and down. My first question for you, Jake, is how much do you let things like this affect the way you view a guy out of season?
So I think for the most part, when it comes to fall ball specifically, you're not really learning too much in fall ball because it's mostly they're playing against each other at this level. You're getting 2 or 3 fall games outside of your own players. They get to stay at their own parks. I think over the summer there's definitely a lot to learn. There's these huge summer leagues that go on with it, whether it be the Cape or Northwoods, whatever it may be. There's a ton to learn because it for some of these cases, these guys transferring in from smaller schools, this is their first time playing against some of these higher level arms and higher level bats and everything. So I think there's a lot to learn over the summer. Over the fall, not so much, but I'm excited to get going, and I'm excited that we just got some ball to watch.
I was just about to say, I know you're going to agree with me in that it's always just nice to have college baseball playing in any regard. Before we get too much deeper into the episode, though, did want to let you guys know that this is not some kind of run-of-the-mill, flash-in-the-pan show. This is the first episode of a new show from Prospects Live, College Baseball Now, obviously focused on college baseball now. We're really excited and can't wait and hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do, please like, rate, review, comment. Let us know what you'd like to see going forward because Jake and I talked. We're hoping to get some player interviews, maybe some coach interviews, maybe some drafts, maybe some coverage, maybe like some kind of a live look. There's all kinds of things we can do with this show, and we're really excited to do it with you guys. But shall we, Jake, get into our top 50 prospects? This actually released not too terribly long ago, mid-September. So it's still about a 2-week-old list at this point, but still very fresh. Lots of interesting insights because the team rallied together and wrote reports along with grades, tool grades for all of these top 50. And I believe there are more than the top 50. Just kind of wanted to limit it to a nice round number, if I'm not mistaken. But all that said, Let's get right into it. Talk about the top 5. So starting at number 1 with Roch Cholowsky, shortstop from UCLA, of course. Going to number 2, Drew Burris, outfielder from Georgia Tech. Number 3, Chris Hacopian, a shortstop now of Texas A&M. Number 4, AJ Gracia, outfielder with Virginia. Number 5, Cameron Flukie, right-hander from Coastal Carolina. Jake, let's start right at the top, man. Various draft pundits have said that Roch Cholowsky is the best collegiate shortstop prospect we've seen in 10 years. Some people are even going a little more deep and saying this is the best college shortstop we've seen in 20 years. Lots of talented guys in that time. I'm curious, man, in your opinion, what is it that makes Roch that special? Why is he the number 1 dude?
Yeah, I can't. There's not much argument coming from my way. I mean, I don't know that I've seen, a prospect that's just it's just the all around aspect of him. There's not really one tool that stands out more than the other. But you can argue that it's above average to plus across the board. He's an exceptional athlete. The glove plays. You don't have to. It doesn't take much to see the bat to ball, the raw power, the game power, everything that you can think about of a prospect. Well, there's no perfect prospect per se, but when it comes to polished, just hitters and athletes on a baseball field, you're going to be hard pressed to find someone more sure of a thing than Roch Cholowsky is.
I love it. Facts. I'm with you, bro. I obviously we saw as a freshman, Roch had such a solid season. On base at almost a 400 clip, slugged about, I think, a 500 exactly, upped his home run total from 8 to 23, 15 more home runs last year than the year prior. Here's one of my favorite stats on Cholowsky, though. Walked 45 times last year, struck out 30 times. Insanity. This kid has got, like you said, gold glove upside at defense, incredible plate discipline, burgeoning power, could be such a special player going forwards. Don't want to linger too long in this top 5. Maybe there's another dude between Burris, Hacopian, Gracia, or Flukie that you'd like to give us just another quick thought about.
Yeah, I'll talk about AJ Gracia. It's not really a hot take at this point. He was one of my personal favorites, and I think if it was just going off of my thoughts only, he would probably be number 2. For me, he comes in at number 4 for us. No arguments there, obviously, but the swing, I'm a sucker for a pretty left-handed swing, and he's got one of the more aesthetically pleasing swings that you're going to find in the class. It's smooth, it's on time most of the time. He's really patient at the plate. While that, some people see that as a potential negative, as if he gets to the next level and he's too patient, it could set him behind in counts and whatnot. But when he gets a pitch that he wants, he's not afraid to jump on it, and he's got big power to go along with the contact ability. All in all, with Gracia, you're really going to be buying the bat at this point, but he's going to give you average defense. He's going to give you an average arm in the outfield, and if you can hit the way that we all expect him to, that's going to play just fine.
I think so. One really interesting note with Gracia is that not only is he transferring, he with Coach Chris Pollard from Duke to Virginia now, sticking in the ACC, pretty interesting. Not the only transfer within our top 5, though. Chris Hacopian, another transfer. That one a little bit more of a jump, some might say. But yeah, with Gracia, I'm interested because you did bring up the hit tool. It is such an incredible hit tool, and I think that right now maybe Gracia, I think he's a capable center fielder at the NCAA level, but I do worry that he will shift probably to, I'm going to assume, right field, left field, probably left at the next level. I'm curious what your take is on the defense.
Like I said, I don't think it's not going to be bad defense. He's a good enough athlete. Like it's not going to be plus defense. I don't know that he's even going to stick in center field long term. I think he's earned a shot, and he's definitely going to get that shot at Virginia. But like in the end, at the next level, I think if he moves off to left field, that's going to put a little bit less pressure on him having to play that top level defense, and that can just let him feel a little bit more free with the bat, where that's going to be where he makes his money in the end anyways. And I think it's going to be average defense at best, and that's going to play just fine if he hits the way we think he's going to.
I think that's probably the case anyhow. Great call, Jake. So let's get into maybe one more question about these top 5 guys. Which of these dudes, and again, we'll just recap for you at home. Number 1, Cholowsky, followed by Drew Burress, Chris Hacopian, AJ Gracia, who we just spoke about, and then Cam Fluke from Coastal Carolina, the right-hander. Which of these dudes do you think has the most to prove in 2026, and why?
So yeah, for the most part up here at the top, we have proven guys. Like we have Roch Cholowsky, who's been kind of the consensus 1-1 since the beginning of last season, right? We have Drew Burress, who's played at every level, and he's been known as one of the top, the top players since he got to Georgia Tech. We just talked about Gracia. You mentioned Hacopian for a bit, and I think it's probably going to be him. He's one in this level, in this range for us that's making the biggest jump. I was fortunate enough to be able to cover the Big Ten last year for you guys for the daily sheet, and I got to see a lot of Chris Hacopian, and I personally think the Big Ten, gets they get a bad rap sometime when it comes to quality of pitching that these hitters are going to be facing. But I mean, he was hitting against guys like Joe Jerwa. He was hitting against, or Zerwa, however you say it.
Yeah.
He was hitting off of him. He was hitting off of Cade Obermueller. All 3 of those Iowa arms were insane last year. He was hitting off of Grayson Grinzel. So I mean, he was getting some good at bats against guys that went in the first 2 or 3 rounds last year. And I think Hacopian, he's got one of, if not arguably the best hit tool in the entire class. He's also not afraid to get into some power. It's typically to the pull side for him. And his approach is mainly to spray the gaps for the most part, but he does a really good job at getting his hands extended and pulling the ball to his pull side out of the park. And even if it's just off the wall, he's got enough athleticism to get extra bases. Right now, I think he's going to give you average defense with an average arm at shortstop. But if at the next level he's forced to move off of shortstop, I think he'll be able to handle both third or second base with no issues.
Definitely. I know that we talk a lot in terms of fantasy about how anybody that does shift from shortstop to second base with this kind of an offensive profile, from a fantasy perspective, that just almost skyrockets their value even higher. Of course, not a fantasy podcast, just something to note that Hacopian does have that kind of value where his bat at second base could be a realistic outlier at the next level. I'm glad you brought that up. I did want to quote his report. Peyton Franks wrote this report, and it had some of the most jaw-dropping, eye-popping stats of any report. In 2025, folks, Hacopian had a 89.4 zone contact rate, a max exit velocity of nearly 112, 111.9, call it 112, call it what it is. Has struck out 7.6% of the time, and in 2 strike counts, zone swing rate goes up to 98.4%, zone contact up to 91.8%. Not only is he an exceptional bat, he does it in the clutch. So excited to see what this guy does against, as you said, I do think that you're probably correct in saying the Big Ten gets kind of an unfair rap, at least in terms of the pitching. Because like you said, all 3 of those dudes are draftees at the very least, if not big leaguers. But, Zerwa, Obermueller, Grinsel, there's more, obviously, but the 3 you listed are great examples of dudes that Hacopian would have played against as recently as last season. Now, of course, we'll see what he does in the SEC. But let's move on. Lots more dudes to talk about. Going to the 6 through 10 range of our list. Number 6, Derek Curiel, outfielder from LSU. Number 7, Justin LeBron, shortstop from the University of Alabama. Number 8, Jackson Flora, a right-handed pitcher from UC Santa Barbara. Number 9, Maddox Maloney, a shortstop from the University of Oregon. And number 10, Tyler Bell, a shortstop from the University of Kentucky. Jake, let's go back to you again, man. You're giving us good stuff. I'm just going to keep feeding you the rock here, let you keep scoring. Of these dudes, who would you say is the one that could most lay claim to being snubbed from a spot in our top 5, and why?
I'm not going to show too much Big Ten bias. I love Maddox Maloney, and he definitely could be in that spot for me. But I'm going to go with the guy we have at our 6th spot, just outside of the top 5, Derek Curiel. I talked about it a little bit with Gracia. I'm a sucker for a pretty left-handed swing, and he's got another really nice looking left-handed swing. But he keeps it really simple in the box. He's straight to the ball. He doesn't try to do too much. He takes usually what's given to him. He hits the outside pitch to opposite field. He'll pull the inside pitch to his pull side like you're supposed to. And he's handled velo like a mature hitter handles velo. There's not too many holes in his swing. He's proven himself at LSU, and he'll get another chance to prove it again this year. He's also lifted the ball a little bit more than we would expect out of him, and I think he's got the frame to develop and to grow into some even some more power. And he could probably grow into maybe even a 20-plus homer guy in the future. I think he's going to give you really good defense in the outfield. He's going to have a really good arm out there. I think he can definitely stick in center. And in my notes here, I have firmly in the conversation with the top of the class college bats this year. I could definitely see him getting into the top 5. And outside of Cholowsky, the second spot is kind of wide open. I mean, it kind of feels like you can make an argument for 3, 4, 5, 6 guys there, and Curiel's one of them.
Without a doubt. I'm curious because you referenced it earlier. If you had to put a top 5 together, who would be your top 5? I know you said Roch was your number 1. I believe you said Gracia would be your number 2. Where does Curiel fall in that? Is he in your top 5?
Curiel, I think I would have him. I would have him in the top 5. I'm really high on LeBron, like you mentioned. I'm really high on Fluky, Cholowsky, obviously, and then I think Curiel and Gracia is also going to be in there. I mean, I can't leave out Drew. I don't know how to make a top 5 at this point. I'm not going to lie. I have a list of players. I have a list of like we've mentioned 7, 8 guys that I could feel really good about having in my top 5. It's going to be a lot to pay attention to going forward.
Oh, I know it's crazy. The thought of picking 5 of even just college guys is ridiculous. But then when you add in prep guys, it is a mind-blowing thing right now. We of course are not getting into that college podcast. Maybe down the line, Jake, we'll talk some prep dudes just for the lulls. But no worries on that. You folks at home, we're going to get back to the college chat for sure. Interesting you brought up Curiel, and I had a point to asking about your top 5 because in my list, I had Curiel at number 3. And so hearing you shout him out made me feel really good because obviously when smart people say things that I align with, it makes me feel better about my life. So yes, let's talk though, not about Curiel. We'll talk about another guy that I really, really like in terms of a dude that I think might have a claim to being snubbed. And that's my number 4 guy right now in the class, Jake, Tyler Bell, shortstop from the University of Kentucky. I think if there are any organizations who I think the recurring joke is, wow, the Rays, what a great trade. Who is it they got again? And it almost extends to drafting as well. Wow, I love that pick for the Rays. Who'd they get again? And it's accurate. So as a prepster, Tyler Bell selected 66th overall to the Rays. It's just insane to see that now draft eligible again after his commitment to Coach Mingione held. What we've seen from Bell is that he has shown strong contact tools, really puts the bat to the ball well, but the power has really come to play for him, especially from the left. Really strong exit velocities. I think there's still a lot of projection here with Tyler Bell. We could see more. We could see more power added. Of course, the contact is what we need to note. 22% strikeout rate last year. Obviously, that could be pitch recognition. It could be any number of things, but whatever it is right now, there is stuff to work on, but I just love the potential for Bell, who we've already seen a lesser version of him be drafted in a comp round pick. I think it was comp B, the second pick, if I'm not mistaken, but already drafted extremely highly by a data-driven, very analytically wise team. I think that Bell is a shoo-in for a day 1 selection, barring anything catastrophic happening between now and next summer, of course. Let's move on, though, Bud, because we've got another awesome group of players here to talk about. Unless, you actually brought up a Big Ten bias. I would kind of like to hear you wax poetic on Maddox Maloney a little bit. I think the folks at home may like that too.
Oh, I love Maddox Maloney. He was one of my favorite guys to follow last year. That whole Oregon team was pretty loaded last year, but he was at the forefront of what they did on offense. But as well as he swings the bat, and there's another pretty swing, by the way, he plays really, really excellent defense at shortstop, and he's gonna be among the most talented defensive players in the draft, I think, this year. And he was another one that was getting it done against those top level Big Ten arms, but just top to bottom, like, I don't know that he's gonna give you huge power necessarily. I think he's gonna put the bat on the ball, and he hits the ball in zone, and he can get into some power at times, but more consistently, I think he's gonna be a hit guy first. And if the bat improves the way we expect it to, he's another one that we can easily propel into the top 5, along with, like you mentioned, Tyler Bell and some other guys we have down the board. You can make arguments for those guys too. It's really deep at the top, and it's hard to even as we're getting deeper into the fall, it's hard to differentiate some of these bats.
It really is. I almost, and here's the crazy thing, man. When preparing our conversation, I nearly just did a top 10 conversation. And I was like, gosh, this is just, it's so loaded. And there's dudes even in the next group we're going to talk about that I think certain people, if you're listening at home and you hear a guy in that 11 to 25 range and you think, wow, that's a top 5 dude, drop a comment or give us a shout out someplace on Twitter or some social and let us know, hey guys, y'all got this dude underranked and here's why. We'd love to hear from you and interact with you about your thoughts on that as well. Let's go ahead and talk about that group of 11 to 25, though, Jake. Starting number 11, Liam Peterson, the right-hander from Florida. Going to another right-hander from the SEC at 12, Gabe Gackle. Sticking in the SEC at 13 with third baseman Ace Reese. Number 14, Eric Becker of the University of Virginia. Number 15, Caden Sorrell of Texas A&M. Number 16, Sawyer Stroh-Snyder of Texas Christian University. Zion Rose, outfielder from Louisville at 17. Von Lackey, another Georgia Tech catcher. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Georgia Tech's got a good catcher at 18. TCU outfielder Chase Brunson at 19. Another Louisville outfielder, Lucas Moore at 20. Logan Hughes from Texas Tech at 21. 22, we've got Carson Tenney, now at Texas. 23, Jaron Advincula, second baseman from Georgia Tech, followed at 24 by his infield mate on the left side, Alex Hernandez, third baseman. And then at 25, rounding out the group, Tegan Coons, a right-handed pitcher from the University of Tennessee. Jake, we'll go back to you, pal. Who among this group is the most outwardly talented? Who do you look at? Can anybody look at and say, that's a dude?
So we've been talking a lot about the bats. I'm going to mention another one here, but I will get into one of my favorite arms here in just a minute, I promise. But I want to talk about Eric Becker. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I guess that's what you mean by outwardly talented. It was huge that Coach Pollard was able to retain Becker and keep him from transferring to Mississippi State because he's one of the more projectable guys in the class. I think he's got a really fast bat. He really crushes fastballs, especially. Right now, the frame, I don't think it's fully built. I think he's got some room to grow into some more power. But I think ultimately he's going to end up being more of a contact hitter, and that's perfectly fine if he's going to stick on the infield and hit for average the way that he does already. Obviously, he's got the most experience playing shortstop, and I think he's going to be able to give you that at a quality level at the next level. But like we mentioned earlier with Curiel, if he has to move off to second base and still hit the way that he does, that's just going to potentially bring even more value. And that's a lesser defensive demanding position. And if he can focus on his bat more by moving to either second or third base, that's gonna have him firmly considered in the first round as if he wasn't already.
I love that, and I think you're absolutely correct on that front, man. It's such a mentally taxing thing to be worried about playing defense at the captain of the infield. Some would argue the secondary captain to the catcher of the entire defense. Just really, really defensively stressful position to play. A lot of wear on your body as well there. But yes, I think if it were a transition for Becker, we could see that bat take an even greater step forward. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that he's not already incredibly advanced, because like you said, certainly fits the bill here for one of the most outwardly talented guys. And I'm glad you picked up on what I was going for there. I think I might go ahead and break the streak. Let's talk about a pitcher, shall we? I really think that we could go on and on about either of the right-handers at the top of this list, Liam Peterson from Florida or Gabe Gackle from Arkansas. It's so crazy to me because Peterson fits the bill for everything I love in a college pitcher. Large frame, strong, big league body. The arsenal is led by the big time fastball, just about 95 miles per hour, a little bit, but plus pitches throughout his thing. The slider, the best secondary there. He threw it over 30% of the time, 43% miss rate on the pitch. Right-handers really struggled against it last year. Has exceptional snap kind of off of the plate at the last second for the righties. It's a 4-pitch mix. I do think that the changeup is probably the equivalent pitch for a left-handed batter. I think that it's a strong one. Obviously, like we've seen with a lot of Florida guys historically, those pitchers particularly, we would like to see some more command there. But we have seen, at least in terms of this season, a guy like Hunter Barco. We've seen him really improve his command to the point where he has made a major league debut. So maybe Peterson could be the next one to take that step and see this stuff-oriented development at the University of Florida parlay into a first-round selection next summer. With Gackle, obviously, another outstanding pitcher. Lots of velocity out of a much smaller frame. 6 foot, 190. The right-hander is strong. I think that he is. It's almost the opposite of what we need to see out of Peterson, in my opinion, Jake. I think we need to see Gackle prove that there's the capability of withstanding the innings that he's going to need to throw with the more slight body. But I mean, again, Arkansas is going to give him all the opportunity to play strong competition all season long. And so we're going to get to see what he does against strong competition in his junior year. Let's ask you another question about this group, because, again, this is a huge group of 15 just killer dudes. And I'm excited to hear you talk about a pitcher. And I'm assuming that it's going to be the answer to this question. Who might be a bit of a sleeper hit to mainstream fans or to fans who are getting back into college baseball after maybe diving in during the postseason last year?
Yeah, I think you do know where I'm going here. For me, I like these. It's tough to tell apart these top arms in the class. You know, you have who we end up going with first in Fluky, but then there's we have the Jackson Flores, and you hit on both Peterson and Gackle, and they're certainly in that top group. But one of my favorite overall players, he's a personal favorite of mine. I got to see him in high school. I got to see him throw in front of 35 MLB scouts in one game. He's from my area up here, and I was, as a Tennessee fan like yourself, I was floored whenever he got to the Vols, and I was so excited to get to see him pitch at that level. And that's Tegan Coons. He's a freak on the mound. Just to put it into one word, he moves like a freak on the mound. He's super athletic. Ton of projectability there. His frame is definitely not fully developed yet. Been up to 97. Proved himself last year. He had a little bit of hiccups early on in the year, and I think he was either sick or had an injury or something at the beginning of the season last year. Missed a little bit of time, but he found it. He was Sunday guy for a lot of the time for Tennessee last year. I think he's got the chance to be that guy again, and potentially even Saturday, Friday, wherever they even see him at. But the fastball is his calling card for me. I think it's got potential to be easily a plus pitch. He throws it up in the zone well. He gets whiffs on it, both last year and on the Cape. But he's also got a really good curveball. He gets 3,000 RPMs on it. He gets guys to chase it. He misses barrels in the zone. It's a lot of fun watching him pitch. And I guess he's gone to a changeup now. When he was in high school, he had a splitter, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen at the high school level. Just making some guys look really silly in the box. But I guess he's going to a changeup now. He's got that and a slider that both play well. I think he has some refining to do from the command standpoint. But the funky delivery, the 4 really good pitches, and the projectability in his frame is someone that I could see flying up the board sooner rather than later.
I think so too. I love Tegan Coons, and I'm glad to hear you following that because, man, you said the fastball is your favorite pitch. I love the curveball. It's just so
Yeah, I do
nasty,
too.
man. Oh, it's just it's that's one of those pitches where again it just snaps downward just so quickly, and it's nearly vomit inducing. But let's move to the other half of the battery, shall we? From Tegan Coons, I'd like to talk about a guy who I think might be a little bit of a sleeper hit, and that's just because, again, he's switching colleges. We're talking about Carson Tenney, who is moving from Notre Dame to the University of Texas. A catcher, another one of my favorite demographics of players. Certainly, as we discussed a minute ago with Eric Becker, if shortstop is the secondary captain, the lieutenant or the sergeant, whatever that might be, somebody correct me at home. The catcher certainly is the captain of the defense, and Tenney certainly has that. He's got a nice big league body already, 6'3", over 200 pounds, right-handed batter, strong, built well, compact, an amazing hand speed for this guy. It really propels a lot of his biggest trait, and that is, of course, the power. Already touched a ton of high, over 115 mile per hour exit velocities for him. Really, it is, as of right now, more of a line drive hit. Really exceptional. I think that he could maybe get to 25 plus home runs. The defense, though, suspect. I'm curious to see where it goes forward. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on Tenney?
I do like Carson Tenney. I think he's going to have a really good opportunity to prove himself at the higher conference there with Texas. I'm with you on everything you said about the bat. I think he's going to hit for a ton of power at that ballpark. I think he's going to hit for a ton of power in the conference in general. But I'm also with you on the defense. If he doesn't stick at catcher, we just saw it last year with like Irish moving to the outfield. I think not to say that they're the same player. It's just, going from catcher to a different position, hitting for power. That similar thing if the bat plays. It's kind of a cliche thing to say, but like the bat is what's going to get him on the field, and if he's hitting good enough, a team's going to find somewhere to put him. And that's not to say he can't stick at catcher long term. Right now, he just hasn't really proven it. But I think he would do just fine as a first baseman or a potential, right or left fielder. Again, like we mentioned a few times already, taking a little bit of pressure off the bat could be a good thing for him. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Carson Tenney, and I think he's got some big time juice.
I agree with you there, and I love that you said maybe this is the Ike Irish path for him because again, it's not a bad arm. I do think that he could certainly handle left field, maybe right field potentially. I guess one would think as a catcher he could have the arm for right field. That said, though, love the comp because that's an easy way that fans at home, listeners at home, could hear that transition. If Irish is a catcher in a pinch, maybe that does add to the allure for him to a major league team to see that he could cover these different areas. Because like you said, Jake, it is the bat that's going to get him paid, and it is the bat that's going to keep him on the field. Let's move on to the rest of the top 50. Now, that's a crazy thing to say, isn't it? Because we've just covered 25 dudes. So this is a list of 25 dudes I'm about to give you. So buckle up at home. If you hear somebody that you like and we don't talk about them, like we said, leave us a comment or let us know. Maybe we can talk about them in a future episode. I know Jake and I are going to be regulars here on College Baseball Now. I love talking to this guy, and we're going to get into it a lot this season and beyond. So let's get into that. 26, we've got Jason DeCaro, a right-hander from North Carolina who was exceptional last season, very talented. Number 27, a dude that you and I both like, Aiden Robbins, an outfielder moving from Seton Hall to Texas. 28, Daniel Cuvée from the University of Miami. Number 29, Chris Rimbert of Auburn. 30, Ben Blair from Liberty. 31, Ryan Lynch of North Carolina. Another right-hander from UNC. Crazy stuff. 32, Luke McNeely of Florida. 33, Joey Volchko of Georgia now, transferred from Stanford to Georgia. Ethan Kleinschmidt, the lefty from Oregon State at 34. Catcher Ryder Helfrich of the Arkansas Razorbacks at number 35. 36 is Gavin Grahovic from Texas A&M. 37, Brady Ballinger of Kansas. 38, Andrew Williamson of UCF. 39, Aiden Knack of Clemson. 40, Tommy Lepore of TCU. Couple of funky dudes there. 41, Henry Ford of Tennessee this year, formerly the University of Virginia. 42, Caden Bogenpole of Missouri State. 43, Ethan Norby from East Carolina. 44, Blake Morningstar of Wake Forest, another right-hander from the ACC. 45, Jackson Willits, shortstop from Oklahoma. That's a familiar last name, Jake. Curious how we might know his family. 46, Cole Carlin, a left-hander from Arizona State. 47, Gavin Gallagher of North Carolina. 48, Roman Martin, the left side infield partner of Roch Cholowsky at UCLA. 49, Owen Kramkowski at Arizona. And number 50, Cole Triba, left-hander, UC Santa Barbara. Woo, take a breath at home. Take a breath, Drew Wheeler. All right. First question for you, Jake, because this is a loaded one. And I think I know where you're going to go with this one, but I'm curious what's the road we're going to take here. Which of these dudes, these 25 guys we just listed, is the one who you say most likely to make a jump into the top 10 this season, and why?
Okay, so I am going to go a slightly different way than what we talked about before.
Ooh, okay.
I am going to go back to the arms here, and I think it's going to be Joey Volchko. Because if we're talking about potential to break into the top 10, he's got more potential, just as much potential as anybody else does, I think, in terms of the arms here. Obviously, it's been widely documented that the command is the big issue with him. Some have it as low as potential of 30 command, but there's been pitchers come out of Georgia before, and I think that being able to prove himself in the SEC is going to be what pushes him up to the top. Obviously, it's a really good, it's a really good fastball. Sometimes, the shape is a little bit inconsistent. He's got it. Sometimes it's sinkerish, sometimes it's cutterish. But in the end, it's a really good pitch if he can command it and control some of that spin that he's getting on it, and maybe could turn it into two separate pitches even. I could see him having a sinker and a cutter. He's also got, a power slider that he can, again, if he can locate it a little bit better, he's got potential to get a ton of whiff, ton of chase with it because it's a big breaker. And then, developing maybe a changeup. He'll probably end up having to develop some kind of fourth pitch. There's a lot of ifs here. I don't mean to be throwing a lot of ifs here, but making a jump from Stanford to Georgia, he's going to have every opportunity in the world to prove himself. And if he does that, who's to say he doesn't end up in our top 10 at the end of the year?
It's so interesting because I would have never thought, I should have thought, as much as we've been in line on these guys, that Volchko might have been on your radar to talk about here, because that was the dude I was so itching to talk about. But let's get a little bit further into this if you don't care, because I'm curious. We've seen Volchko out of the bullpen with Stanford. I'm curious, do you think that he gets a shot at maybe a weekend starter, or is this kind of maybe a flexible dude that's maybe out of the pen on the weekends, but maybe we see him on some midweek starts?
I think either one. I think he's got the stuff to at least earn a chance at the rotation this year, right? I don't think he's going to be instantly subjected straight to the bullpen without getting a chance to prove himself as a starter first. I don't think you, as Georgia, I don't think you bring in such a high level arm like him and just. Well, I think in the future, yeah, he could end up as a closer and would probably be a really good one. But I think, on Georgia's staff, I don't think they're bringing him in with intentions of strictly pitching him out of the bullpen. I think he's definitely going to get a chance to start, like you said. It could be a midweek to start the year, but he could just prove himself in the fall here that he's worthy of a shot at starting the year as a Sunday guy or something.
I think so too. I definitely do. And it's like you said, even if the outcome here is eventual closer, I think that that's an outcome that everybody can embrace. We've seen closers, and especially, in the SEC, Dylan Volantis last season was arguably the most impressive single pitcher in college baseball from a closing perspective. And that's a young man who guaranteed the University of Texas didn't look at him and say, in recruiting, closer. They just thought that kid's nuts. That's electric. We want him. In Austin, I don't know of a team that wouldn't want that kid. He's insane. And the same thing goes for Joey Volchko. All right, Jake, let's move to our last question here. Which of these guys, this 26 to 50 range, has the single best individual tool? What is that tool, and what's your outcome for that guy for this season?
Okay, so I am going to go the way that we talked about before here.
Okay.
Shout out Northeast baseball. I love me some Aiden Robbins coming from Seton Hall down to Texas this year. You know, say what you want about the conference he played in. The guy hit 422 last year at the Division I level. That's hard to do no matter who you are, whatever level you're playing at. You could be playing at the easiest conference of the worst division possible and hit 422, and it's impressive. Um, he's got that to his name. He's got elite athleticism. He has a patient approach in the box. He covers the plate well. I can't say enough good things about him, but I mean he's hit it, in the spring with his school. He's also hit on the Cape. I think he led the Cape in batting average this year. He's going to have a really good chance to prove himself at Texas. I think he's going to. I think he's got. You're talking about the potential best tool in the class. I think his hit tool is where I was obviously leaning towards there. But I think it's got a chance to be as high as 70 hit tool, and I wouldn't have any arguments about it.
I agree with you completely.
Got a
You're
little
certainly
carried away there talking about him, but
no. I need more. You're certainly among friends in the Aiden Robbins fan club here with me for sure. I think you could be right. It's so insane that he could hit 420 and then win the batting title on the Cape, and people are still wonder how he's going to hit at Texas. And I mean, it's a fair question, but this kid hits. All he's done thus far is hit. Why should we believe he's going to do anything different now? I don't know. I'll throw out a quick suggestion for just best individual tool. I'm going to look at power. You looked at hit. I'll look at power. One name that comes up is Daniel Cuvée, but I'll also shout out Henry Ford as being a great shout for that. Definitely plus, maybe double plus power. I want to say that. I went just 60 just to be conservative whenever I was assigning grades for Ford's report. But Cuvée, another guy. A lot of issues, at least with the swing with both of those guys, but the power, incredibly real whenever they can get to it. Caden Bogenpol, the same. May as well say that as well. He's just a tool shed, so he could have applied in several aspects of that question. Jake, what a wonderful discussion of this top 50. Like we said, it did release just about 2 weeks ago, so it's very fresh, and it is an absolute tonski of information. If you guys have not, we have to recommend, just on behalf of Jake and myself, that you consider a membership to Prospects Live for as low as $5 a month. You can get access to every scouting report on this top 50 guys, complete with the top 5 we talked about, scouting reports all the way up and down. It's really strong stuff and a great first release for the team. Obviously, we have our top 50 prep prospects coming up down the pipeline as well. Tons of other great stuff at Prospects Live as well. I know the Dynasty team is going nuts right now. We've got wonderful stuff in terms of your baseball card passion, whether you're looking for podcasts, rankings, reports, information, something fun to read, or maybe just a community to talk baseball in. We've got you at prospectslive.com. Memberships start as low as $5 a month, so we'd love to have you check that out. Jake, before we go, I'd love it if you could tell the people at home what you are working on right now and where they can contact or find you or follow you between episodes of College Baseball
Now. So you can follow me on Twitter at Jake Barge, JakeEbarg. Currently in the works. I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff on the college side. I know I've talked to Drew about it. I've talked to Nate about it. We got a lot of big plans this year. Right now it's a little bit of a slow period with the fall season. But once the winter gets here, once the spring gets here, we're gonna get rolling with a lot of college stuff, and I can't wait for it.
Oh, bro, me and you both. Definitely want to recommend that as well. Like Jake said, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. We're definitely working on our prep ranks to provide a similar list on the prep side, of course. Not that we'll be talking about it on this podcast necessarily, but we'll never say never. The Dynasty team's working on a lot of stuff, so I'm working on that as well. If you wanted to follow me for whatever reason, you may do so on the Twitter machine at Drew is okay, Instagram, Blue Sky, at the same. And of course, prospectslive.com. You can find the social medias for the site everywhere at Prospects Live. Pretty simple, pretty logical handle there. Jake, I love it. What a wonderful first episode it's been of College Baseball Now. I wanted to thank you for joining me because it's been an excellent time for me, and I hope it's been the same for you.
Oh, it has been. I look forward to continue doing this and to keep this going throughout the rest of the year.
Can't wait. We will see you guys next time. And again, remember, whether you're listening, watching, whatever, we'd love your review. 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever it may be for College Baseball Now. For Jake, I'm Drew Wheeler, and we will see you soon.